Welcome to Roadfly TV, your latest automotive fix from Roadfly.com.
Hi, I'm Ross Rappaport with Roadfly.com, and today we're looking at a very capable vehicle from one of the industry's most exciting manufacturers. The CX-9 is Mazda's full-size crossover sport utility vehicle, and it combines sport and utility better than most vehicles on the road today. The CX-9 is a big vehicle for Mazda, and I mean that in every sense of the word. It's 200 inches long, only about a foot shorter than a Chevy Suburban. That added length pays off inside, since the CX-9 is about as well packaged as SUVs get. There's room to spare for a third row of seats, and all three rows can roll in serious comfort. The CX-9's third row is one of the biggest you'll find. Even with the passenger compartment filled, it's still quite roomy back here. This car offers genuine seating for 7, but if you cut it down to 6, everyone will be living large. The CX-9 doesn't neglect any of its passengers. All three rows are wrapped in the same leather surfaces, and they all have 2 cup holders for every passenger, for a grand total of 12. There's a cool, modern design motif in the cabin of the CX-9, with this heavy black lacquer being used instead of wood. It's just as elegant as wood, but probably cheaper for the consumer and more environmentally friendly. These strips run the height of the door panels and integrate the window controls in an ergonomically superlative fashion. The CX-9 is sensible in and out. Our test car had a power liftgate with automatic opening and closing, and underneath the load for there's one of the best systems for organizing the car's tools that we've seen yet. Lose anything down here and you should seriously reconsider your fitness to operate a motor vehicle. Our test car had the Smart Card feature, which allows you to get in and start the CX-9 without a traditional ignition key. That's not news, but what is cool is how big the Smart Card is. It's only about the size of a credit card and maybe 3 times as thick. It's not enough to have the geeky features anymore. It's all about execution, and Mazda has executed this better than just about anyone I've ever seen. The CX-9's massive dimensions come with an equally massive curb weight. Top-of-the-line CX-9s can get up to as much as 6,000 pounds. So, even with 263 horsepower on tap out of a 3.5-liter V6, acceleration isn't necessarily the CX-9's strong suit. Where it really does shine is in the area of handling. The steering is sublime. Once you've set up for a corner, which is easy, there's very little need for correction. On top of that, the brakes inspire confidence and stop very quickly, so you can really hustle this thing around. It's an SUV that only Mazda could build. Despite a considerable curb weight, the CX-9 feels very sporty. Much of that can be put down to the transmission. The transmission's great for 2 reasons. Number 1, manual mode is truly manual. It won't ever override one of your decisions, and you can stay in a given gear as long as you like. Number 2, if you've ever driven or watched a sequential gearbox on a race car, you'll know that in order to downshift, you go forward, and in order to upshift, you pull backwards. That's the way it is in the Mazda CX-9, and that's not the way most manufacturers do it. So kudos to Mazda for incorporating a little zoom even into its largest vehicle. A rewarding experience perfectly describes our experience with the CX-9. The only gripes we had with it, for example, 16 miles per gallon in town and the exceptionally long, heavy doors, are a necessary consequence of the size required to accommodate 7 passengers in this level of comfort. Keep in mind that the MPV minivan has been discontinued for 2007, meaning that the CX-9 has to do the job of 2 vehicles in the Mazda lineup. When you consider that, it's all the more remarkable that this big crossover is so athletic. The base price for our test car was just over 32 grand. Even with all the options like the touchscreen navigation, smart card entry, and backup camera, it rang in at just under 38. Considering the CX-9 is in a class all by itself, that's a price tag I could live with.
Roadfly.com, the internet's best resource for buyers, sellers, and owners like you.